Started experimenting with cannabis at quite a young age, amongst other things, to be honest, as so many people do. But then soon realised that actually this isn't damaging. The stigma behind it is it doesn't deserve it. It's a wonderful plant. As so many people have mentioned already today, this has been a medicine for thousands and thousands of years, and it's only over the last kind of 100 years, with this horrible conversation riddled with racism, that suddenly everyone's like, oh no, don't smoke that, don't smoke the devil's lettuce, which is crazy. So, I, like you, I'm happy to put my flag in the ground and say, do you know what, I stand for cannabis, all aspects of it. I think people should be able to consume it recreationally. I think it should be used as a medicine, and I think they should be able to consume it how it works best for them. So I'm Matt Clifton. I am the CEO of Product Earth. I've been with the company basically since just before the pandemic hit, so that's been quite a journey. Before that, I was at Facebook, so I actually was one of the first 6 or 7 people to start that business outside of the US. And 12 years later, it was time to move into the world of cannabis. And so that's what I'm doing today. And we've also got a second company as well, which we haven't really spoken about, and it might be a conversation for another day, called Feed Yourself, which is a progressive and urban gardening company, which is all about shortening that journey from farm to fork. So it all kicked off in 2015. So James Walton is the founder, and he worked with a chap called Richard, who's no longer with the company. He's living out in Portugal. And James is actually living out there with him as well at the moment, setting up something else, which is quite exciting. And between those two and one other person, John, they essentially put on this show, and it has been in a number of different areas. It started off in Peterborough, and it's been to Birmingham, so it's had kind of both rural and city, urban-y type feels, but you've got to be careful about Product Earth and where we have these kind of shows. We work with law enforcement to make sure everyone is safe, but there are people that consume cannabis there, and in an urban environment that can be frowned upon when you've got huge clouds of smoke coming around. So we were very lucky that last year, in 2019, losing track of the years now, we got our new home, which is the NEC, which is the National Agricultural Event Centre. It's basically the home of agriculture in the UK, so a perfect fit for us. And we're looking to do a lot of things with hemp and sustainability with them moving forwards as well, which they're very excited about. The show itself, we have kind of thousands of people that show up to the event. We have about 200 different exhibitors and sponsors, and everyone kind of comes together. And it's a bit of a party, to be honest. It's great. It's a celebration of the plant and all the various aspects of it. Some of it's quite highbrow, and we have speaker panels, and we'll hear from the same kind of people that you've had talking today. And some of it is just partying in a field and everyone having a great time, and the whole community coming together at this one place at a certain point in the year, and just having a good time. And I think one of the things that I've learned about the cannabis industry, which has been quite interesting, is it's just not like anything else I've ever done. And I like to think that I've had a fair few jobs. Not that I kind of jump around jobs, but I've worked in a number of different fields. And it is different. Nothing that you've learned to this point actually makes sense anymore. A lot of people that work in the industry are patients themselves, and there's a lot of angst, there's a lot of frustration, and that can spill over at times. And it was just so great at Product Earth last year to see so many of these kind of fractious relationships actually get squashed a little bit. We like to be Switzerland. We like to kind of provide this safe platform for people to connect. And it was just great to see it actually come to fruition last year. First and foremost, I'm a recreational user. Okay, I love it. I think it's great. It's better than alcohol. I drink a fair amount as well, but do you know what? I don't get any of the negative aspects from consuming cannabis as a recreational drug. Then I kind of think of it as a wellness and therapeutic medicine. but not quite a medicine. And so I'll take that on a regular basis. So CBD, for example, I'm taking that to prevent something from happening, prevent my anxiety. So I suffer with severe anxiety and severe depression. I was actually up at 2:30 this morning, just riddled with anxiety. This COVID pandemic is really just not good for my health at all. So I'll try and take CBD, and actually to some extent THC as well, to prevent this from happening to me. And then where I am in a situation where I might be having an anxiety attack, that's when I'll consume it, and I believe it's truly a medicine because it's stopping something bad from happening at that moment. I find that some sativa strains can actually bring on quite a lot of anxiety for me. Certainly some of the ones that I've had out in Holland, your Super Lemon Haze, your Super Amnesia Haze, I think it was. It's just like, whoa, hang on a minute. I didn't mean to get on this bus. And yeah, it can make you go a little bit wobbly, which isn't great. But you learn. But I think, the lack of legislation and regulation supporting access to at least strains that you know what's going to happen when you consume it, I think that can make things very, very complicated by not changing legislation. It's not affecting who's consuming cannabis. People are going to smoke weed if they want to smoke weed. That's just how it is. I could walk out here and get it. In fact, in Soho, easy. But you shouldn't have to do that. And so simply by all of the people the policymakers, the people that are working on the legislation, they are causing harm by not actually giving people access and making the regulations there to make it a safer drug to consume, for sure. I like to go back to my mum, and she's always been massively against it. And I did what any decent person did at the start of the pandemic, and I treated myself to a volcano hybrid because I knew I was going to be indoors a lot, and I didn't want to just be smoking joints all the time because I quit smoking cigarettes like at the start of the pandemic as well. I was like, don't just smoke joints all the time. And she was around a couple of weeks ago. I gave her, using the balloon, and she was like, what is that? I was like, oh, this is vapor, and explained exactly what it was. I was like, look, do you want to have a little nibble on it? And she was able because of the way it's designed, you can have just a little sample and just slowly ease yourself into it. So you're not suddenly, starfishing on the floor, wishing the world away. You're actually like, hang on, this is quite good. And she kind of turns around to her husband and she's like, I feel great. And it's just like, exactly, mum, tell the world. So yes, if my mum's opinion can change, I think, definitely people's opinions will change. I mean, one of the big problems is you don't know what to believe anymore. Like, you can't I consume a lot of content via Facebook, which is just the wrong thing to do. It's a sad place to be looking right now, to be honest, with all the bad news out there. But I was reading something on a YouGov poll, which said that I think confidence or trust in the media in the UK has dropped 22% since the start of the pandemic. And we're now like kind of the 7th worst country in the world for trusting the media. And when you then multiply that by the kind of cannabis content that's out there, and some of it is horrifically inaccurate, both positive and negative. I don't like it when I see something that says smoke this, it's going to cure all the cancer in the world, because it doesn't. That's not how it works. And the same way, it's not going to kind of instantly flip you into psychosis. That's not how it works. There needs to be this voice of reason, this voice of accuracy that people can trust in, because if you're talking bollocks, excuse my French, then you're not going to have the ear of the government and the policymakers that are going to make the changes necessary to make everyone's lives better. Some people that refer to themselves as cannabis activists who will just say it can solve everything. I don't believe that cannabis is going to cure COVID-19. I think there are therapeutic benefits which will certainly help people recover from it. But unless there's proof, don't say it's going to work, because all you're doing is you're discrediting the plant and you're taking a step backwards. Let's put the right kind of testing in place. With regards to the economics of the situation, you've got an industry, a multi-billion pound industry that is taxable, and that people aren't fighting against it. No one's saying, oh, I don't want to do that. I mean, maybe some dodgy drug dealers might be a little bit against it, but actually people are happy for cannabis to come on board and to create jobs. And if you look at the hydroponic industry, the growth that we've seen throughout the pandemic, it's one of these markets that actually has been hugely successful. We should be talking to people, and I do not support anything that Boris has said with regards to if you work in the arts then you should retrain. That's ridiculous. Poor old Fatima. But actually, what we could be doing right now is you could be offering people all manner of jobs in the hydroponic world, which is what we should be doing anyway. And then you're going to be creating the economy, and also arguably you're going to be pushing forward the whole cannabis movement as well. So yes, I think there's huge benefits to the economy. I think we can tax it and try and recoup some of the money that a lot of people have benefited from with the furlough scheme and everything like that. But I do think if we're talking about cures and remedies, we need to be very, very careful. This is it's not a game. These are people's lives that we're dealing with, and we need to act responsibly. I very much adopt the mentality behind Product Earth in that I want to be Switzerland all of this. I don't think there's a right and a wrong way. I know that a lot of people within the cannabis community are anti-establishment and they don't like big pharma and everything like that, and I get it. But that's going to happen, The big people are going to make big money. That's just how it goes. But actually, if you look at some of the products that are produced by some of the big name pharmaceutical companies, the quality's not there. And so people will always follow the quality. You have a choice of drinking a £5 bottle of wine or drinking a £20 bottle of wine. I prefer a £20 bottle of wine if I could afford it. And that's what I think is going to happen with cannabis. And I think what's also interesting, if I look at the other company which I run, Feed Yourself, like I said, it's all about shortening that distance from farm to fork. It's the same. I don't want to have a big carbon footprint in getting access to my cannabis. Why should I? I think people should be able to grow their own. I don't see why you can't. So in the future, I want people to grow their own. I want to be able to walk to a farmer's market full of cannabis. But at the same time, I want to make sure that everyone has access to reasonably priced and reasonable quality cannabis. We need to leave the stigma of the plant behind. This has been a medicine for thousands of years. It's proven to help people. We can now create jobs out of it. Not all, but a lot of different countries out there are already changing legislation and policies. At the moment, we're being left behind. In the same way that we're approaching COVID, we are being left behind. We need to think smarter and we need to act faster. Product Earth 2021 is going to be huge, so find us on Facebook and Insta, but in the meantime watch our Instagram and Facebook profiles because you may see a bit of Product Earth TV content coming out as well, and it's great to see my man Dippo in the background of the studio today.
My name is Sam Cannon and I am the founder of Beyond Green. On the 2nd and 3rd of December this year, the UN will vote on the World Health Organization's recommendation on the rescheduling of cannabis. This is a mammoth moment in time. Please like, comment and share these videos so that the truth can be told and that the planet and everybody on it can benefit from this truly, truly incredible plant once again. Thank you.